You lost your keys this morning, and somewhere between the couch cushions and the kitchen counter, you heard it, your own voice, out loud. Where are they? Come on. Nobody else was in the room. You said it anyway. Maybe you caught yourself. Maybe you glanced at the door to make sure no one heard. Because somewhere along the way, you learned that this is a little embarrassing, talking to yourself, out loud, alone. It's the thing we picture when we picture someone losing their grip, the person on the corner, muttering to no one. So you keep it quiet. You tell yourself it's just a habit, a weird one, something you should probably grow out of. Here's the problem with that. You already did grow out of it. And that's exactly what went wrong. Because you weren't born with a voice in your head. You built it. And to understand the one you have now, the silent one, you have to go back to the version that came first, the one you used out loud, on purpose, in front of everyone, and nobody thought was strange at all. Rewind to when you were 4 years old. Watch any 4-year-old do anything, stacking blocks, working a puzzle, feeding a doll, and listen. They narrate the entire thing.
This one goes here. No, not that one. The big one. There.
They aren't talking to you. They aren't talking to anyone in the room. They're talking to themselves, out loud. And they do it constantly, and no adult finds it odd for a second. A Russian psychologist named Lev Vygotsky watched this almost 100 years ago, and he noticed something everyone else had thrown away. Other researchers looked at all that chatter and saw immaturity, just noise a child makes until they finally learn to be quiet. Vygotsky saw the exact opposite. He saw a tool being built right in front of him. One word at a time. First, other people talk to you. Your mother says, "Careful, it's hot." Then, a little later, you start saying it to yourself, out loud. "Careful, hot." You narrate your own actions using the same words the adults used on you. And then, somewhere around 6 or 7 years old, something quiet happens. The volume drops. The words stop coming out of your mouth. They turn inward. And that running commentary you used to say out loud to the whole room becomes the voice you now think in. That is the voice in your head. Sit with that for a second. It is not something you were issued at birth. It is the private, silenced, turned down version of a thing you used to do at full volume, out in the open, when you were small. And this isn't just one man's theory from 100 years ago. Decades of research since have backed him up. A child's self-talk follows a clean, predictable path, from spoken to whispered to silent. And the children who do it the most tend to be better at steering themselves through hard tasks, not worse. So when you mutter to yourself, keys in hand, scanning an empty room, you are not glitching. You are running the original version, the out loud one, the one that came first, before the silent one was ever installed. And here is where it gets stranger. Because that silent voice, the one in your head right now, it was never actually silenced, not completely. Think about what it feels like to read a sentence in your head. You can hear it, can't you? It has a tone, a rhythm, almost a sound. And it turns out that is not your imagination filling in a gap. When you talk to yourself silently, right now, reading this, your body is quietly performing a stripped-down version of real speech. Researchers wired people up with sensors on the muscles you use to talk, the lips, the jaw, the small machinery around the mouth. Then they asked those people to think in words, silently, without moving, and the muscles fired anyway. Not as much as speaking out loud would, but far, far more than resting. Your face is faintly rehearsing the words you are only thinking, a silent mouthing, too small to see. And inside the brain, it is the same story. When you imagine saying something, the parts of your brain that produce actual, spoken speech light up, including the region whose entire job is building words to say. Your inner voice is not a metaphor. It is speech, with the volume turned almost, but not quite, all the way down. The out loud version never left you. You just learned to whisper it so quietly that even you can barely catch it happening. So the muttering in the kitchen isn't the broken version of thinking. It's just thinking with the volume knob turned back up, which raises a question. If the quiet voice does the job, if you can think perfectly well in silence, then why would your body ever shove the words back out into the open? Because out loud, it works better. And someone actually measured this.
People were asked to find one specific object hidden in a cluttered mess of others. The kind of thing you do every day, scanning a packed fridge shelf for the mustard. Half the time, they searched in complete silence, and half the time, they said the name of the thing out loud, over and over, while they looked. Mustard, mustard. The people who spoke found it faster. Saying the name of a thing does something to your eyes. It sharpens them for that one target. It primes the shape, the color, the size, before you have even laid eyes on it. Thinking the word helps a little. Saying it out loud helps more. The researchers put it about as plainly as scientists ever do. The talking, they said, is not a side effect of the search. It is part of how the search works. And your brain already knows this. It knew it before you did. That is why, when a task gets hard enough, when you really, genuinely need to find those keys, the voice climbs up out of your head and back into the room. That is not you losing control. That is you reaching, automatically, for a better tool. But the strangest finding is the last one, and it's the one that will change how you hear your own voice for the rest of the day. There is a specific way of talking to yourself that beats every other way, and it is not the one you would guess. It is not, I've got this. It is not, I can do this. It is your own name. You talk to yourself the way someone else would. Come on, you've got this. You can do this. It sounds ridiculous. It feels ridiculous, coaching yourself out loud, by name, like you're a stranger shouting from the sidelines of your own life. But researchers tested exactly this, and the people who did it stayed calmer under pressure. They handled stress better. And when outside observers watched them, they judged that those people actually performed better. Give someone 5 minutes to prepare a speech, and the ones who talked themselves through it in the second person, by name, walked in and gave a better speech. And here is the detail that seals the whole thing. This trick works with almost no effort at all. Most ways of calming yourself down cost you something. They take focus. They drain you right at the moment you have the least to spare. But talking to yourself by name barely costs a thing. That tiny switch from I to you slides a thin sliver of distance between you and the panic. Just enough room to think. You stop being the person drowning in it. You become the person standing on the shore, calmly talking them back in, which is exactly what someone once did for you. Because that voice is the same voice, worn smooth by all the years in between, that once said, "Careful, it's hot," pointed at you, out loud, by someone bigger than you back when you were 4. You did not invent the voice in your head. You inherited it. And every so often, when it really matters, you take it back out of your head and hand it to yourself, out loud, in the open. So the next time you catch yourself, keys in one hand, muttering to an empty room, don't look around to see who heard. That voice is not a sign that something is coming loose. It is the oldest tool you own. Older than almost anything else you know how to do. You built it out loud, in front of everyone, before you could even tie your shoes. And then you turned it down so far, for so long, that you forgot it had ever been a sound at all. You were never talking to yourself. You were thinking out loud, the way you did before you learned to do it silently.